After the Raptors originally signed Freddie Gillespie to a 10-day contract last season, he quickly became a fan favorite, which made us optimistic for what he could produce this season. But after a very difficult summer league for himself, this is why his time may be up with the Toronto Raptors. Let's get into it. Welcome NBA and Raptors fans to Amateur Hour Sports. This is the channel where you get NBA content with a focus on the Toronto Raptors at least 4 days a week. That is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. This is your Friday episode where we're talking about Freddie Gillespie and if it is over for him with the Toronto Raptors. So if you like what you see from today's video or myself talking about the NBA and the Raptors and videos and content just like this, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below to show support to the channel on a road to 6,000 subscribers. You can help us get there by subscribing. It would mean a lot if you showed your support to the channel. If you want more NBA content with the focus of the Raptors, you can also check out our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/amateursports, where we do streams every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, which gives you 7 days a week of amateur sports content. But let's get down to business for today's episode. We are talking about Freddie Gillespie because I was very optimistic about Freddie Gillespie's offseason here. Last season with the Raptors, he came in, generally late in the season where he got signed just a couple days before we signed Khem Birch, and they became our duo in the center position for the rest of the season. Freddie Gillespie surprised me really because when he originally signed on that 10-day contract, I made a video about him and I basically said, we're in a very difficult point of the season where, there's a lot of injuries and we have a very clustered schedule. So I think that this player is just going to come in and kind of fill the gap in terms of the injuries and just help us with some depth for those 10 days. Maybe he can get another 10-day contract, but I don't know if he'll be able to sign for the rest of the season. But he surprised me and many other people with his great performances. He got signed up the back of basically averaging a double-double with the Memphis Hustle in the G League, and the Raptors decided to give him an opportunity in the NBA because they were so sick and tired of watching Aaron Baines try to play basketball for their team. So Freddie Gillespie comes in and immediately has an impact. And even when we had Khem Birch come in, I thought that, okay, maybe that Gillespie's time is kind of up here, but still kept his place, kept his position with some good performances, was playing quite well when we first signed him. I'd say that he kind of petered off near the end of the season, but regardless, after his 2 10-day contracts, got signed to the end of the season, and then basically near the end of the season, got signed to a 2-year contract with the Raptors. Now, even though his performances did kind of dwindle near the end of the season, I still thought there was a positive in having this guy on the team. And at a very young age, I felt like there was a lot of opportunity for him to grow with the Toronto Raptors organization. He's always been a guy who works for everything that he has. He has come from D3 basketball to D1 basketball to the G League, and now he's got himself a chance in the NBA. And with those positive performances, they came off the back of really having no practice time with the Raptors. He got inserted into the rotation immediately and was playing generally well, which gave the Raptors the optimism to sign him to that 2-year contract. And me and a lot of other people felt like with this kind of talent and potentially showcasing, not to be like a future starting center, but somebody who has a role within your team in the NBA, showcase that sort of potential. And with a full offseason with the Raptors development team and just an NBA team in general, because he had never been with a full NBA team for a full training camp. So a full offseason training with the Raptors development team are the best at getting the best out of their players. I thought that we have a very positive guy to be our backup center, maybe, if not our third choice center. And I was looking forward to having a nice little rotation of him, maybe Precious Achiuwa and Khem Birch as well, obviously. But then we get to Summer League, and Freddie Gillespie is starting for the Summer League team, and I'm optimistic about what he's going to showcase for this team. But first game, Scottie Barnes played very well. Freddie Gillespie was the name that was the opposite. Freddie Gillespie was quite terrible in the first Summer League game. He shot, I believe it was 1 for 11 from the field in that game, like 1 for 11, and was very, very poor. But I thought, okay, one game, let's give him some time. But those poor performances, one after another, leading to 5 straight games where he completely underwhelmed. Just look at his statistics over the 5 games in Summer League. 2.2 points per game, while averaging 17 minutes a game, only 6.2 rebounds, 0.2 assists, 1.6 blocks on an absolutely abysmal field goal percentage of just about 23% shooting from the field. I mean, for any position, that's awful, but especially a big who takes all his shots in the interior, that is ridiculous, as well as a 50% free throw percentage, albeit a very small sample size. But, when you're in the Summer League and you're fighting for those last few roster spots, you gotta show up for that small sample size. You can't really beat around the bush. You gotta show up for those games, and Freddie Gillespie did not. He did not. He was very poor in the first 4 games, so I thought when we go to the 5th game to Brooklyn Nets, he started, and I'm like, okay, this is the do-or-die game for Freddie Gillespie. This is the game that's going to decide, is he going to be on the roster for next season? And he was just as poor in that game. And something that these statistics don't showcase is his inability to defend the rim and his inability to catch passes on offense. I mean, the simple thing of catching passes. There was a bunch of situations, especially in the Charlotte game, where Scotty Barnes could literally just give Freddie Gillespie an easy pass as Freddie is cutting backdoor for what should have been an easy take. But he drops the ball, literally drops the ball, and figuratively turns it over. It turned into points for the Charlotte Hornets. And there were situations where he's just in the paint on defense and just can't stop the ball from going in. He can't stop the player from getting the basket. So there was no real redeeming quality about Freddie's game. And for that reason, I think his time is up. There are options to bring in that can replace him, and the Raptors are certainly going to explore those options. One option that is particularly on my mind and on the mind of many Raptors fans is Moses Brown. Moses Brown has been on the move over the course of this offseason. Went originally from the Oklahoma City Thunder all the way to the Boston Celtics, but then got flipped from the Celtics to the Dallas Mavericks for Josh Richardson, and now he's on the Dallas Mavericks, who, they've got some bigs there. Do they really need Moses Brown? So maybe the Mavericks, who have a very big interest in Goran Dragic, might be interested in moving Moses Brown to the Toronto Raptors. And what the very intriguing thing about Moses Brown is that he is very young, there's lots of promise, and he's 7'2". So the possibility of molding a very young center to fit to our team, he could be our 3rd choice center, sometimes rotating into maybe that backup center spot, and displayed some very good things for the Thunder last year. 8.6 points per game, 8.9 rebounds per game. This is a future double-double machine. 1.1 blocks, 0.7 steals on some nice efficiency. 55% shooting from the field. Could get better at free throws, but 60% is not the worst thing in the world. But regardless, what you have here is a tall, somewhat athletic center with some very good promise. Some very good promise that you could work with instead of Freddie Gillespie, because Moses Brown is already, I would say, better than Freddie Gillespie. You can bring him in to replace him, and there was a lot more upside with that player. The Dallas Mavericks are very interested in trading for Goran Dragic. So it would make sense for the Raptors to move Dragic on. Dragic doesn't want to be in Toronto. Toronto probably doesn't really want Dragic to be with the team either. So trade him to the Dallas Mavericks. Moses Brown is a good player to build this trade around. Now, I feel sorry for Freddie Gillespie because he is a guy that you can root for. He's got the bet on yourself mentality that the Raptors fans love, obviously because of Fred VanVleet. Because Freddie Gillespie has worked for everything he's had. He's gone from D3 all the way to the NBA. You like that story, but unfortunately, sports are a business and you need the better players on your team. And with an option like this available, it makes sense for the Raptors to take it on and bring in Moses Brown. I believe the first day he can be traded is October 1st, something to do with his contract signing. You have to wait a certain amount of time before that you can trade a player. So the Raptors have to wait until that point. So maybe Freddie Gillespie is going to be here for a little bit of time, but once we get to that point, October 1st, I think that the Raptors are certainly looking at Moses Brown like the player they want to bring in. And the Dallas Mavericks, maybe this is what's holding up the trade, because there were the rumors that the Dallas Mavericks wanted Dragic. There were the rumors that Dragic wanted to go there, and the Raptors were interested in making a trade. So potentially the reason for this trade stalling to this point is because we're waiting for Moses Brown to become available for trade. We're waiting for that October 1st time. And it makes complete sense. Moses Brown would be a great acquisition for the Raptors, and I would absolutely love to have him on our team. If Moses Brown, for whatever reason, is not available and we have to keep Goran Dragic, then you could also look at a player like Isaiah Hartenstein, a 7-foot-tall big who is one of the best passing bigs in the league. It's a very underrated aspect of his game. Not the most formidable player, but just have something different with your team, because our centers right now are 6'9" each. So maybe bring in an actual 7-footer for specific matchups. And Isaiah Hartenstein, despite being a 7-footer, like I said, is a very good passer of the ball. So that's an interesting player to bring in. Wouldn't cost you a lot of money, and that can be your 3rd choice center, because it evidently shows, based on the way Freddie Gillespie played in Summer League, and I know it's just a small sample size, but when you are at that low of a standard based on your Summer League performances, it does showcase that maybe you are not equipped to play in the NBA. So as unfortunate as it is, I think Freddie Gillespie's time is up with the Toronto Raptors. That means, though, possibly, after a good G League season last year, could we maybe move Freddie Gillespie down to the 905 to maybe get his feet back, and knowing what he displayed in the NBA last season, try to find that sort of ability again, see if he can get that confidence again to be that NBA player. And if all goes well, maybe you find him another spot with the Raptors, but at this given point, based on what I've seen, I can't see him being with the roster. So what have you guys made of Freddie Gillespie's offseason? What did you make of his Summer League performances? And do you think that we need to replace him? Let me know all of your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below, because that wraps up for me for today. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you are still here, be sure to hit that like button. If you did enjoy the video, it really goes a long way to helping us reach some new viewers for the channel with that YouTube algorithm. It also showcased to me that you made it to the end of the video. You can also check out our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/amateursports, where we go live every Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday for some NBA content with a focus on the Raptors, as always. And if you can't make the streams for whatever reason, you just don't want to in general, we do post clips of the streams on the Amateur Hour Archive channel called Amateur Hour Clips. Go check it out with the link in the description. You can also subscribe to this YouTube channel on a road to 6,000 subscribers to keep you up to date with all of the content. Would really mean a lot if you helped us get to that big 6,000 number. Other videos by the channel you may enjoy. And always remember, at the end of the day, believe what I say, and if you disagree, that is okay. Enjoy the grind, and I'll see you again next time for another video.